Hi everyone, my name is Agustin Bas and I'm gonna be reporting in continuation to the report of Rizza regarding the principles of clear and effective writing. So part number 8, we prefer the active to the passive voice. We use the active voice rather than the passive voice whenever possible. At the same time, we also follow the proper subject-verb object agreement. So the passive voice construction is also appropriate for certain cases, and I'm gonna show some of them. I'll give you an example. Evan ate a mango. So the subject comes first, and then the verb, and then the object. So ipakita ko sa inyo ano yung passive voice. So when we turn that to the passive voice, it becomes a mango was eaten by Evan. So the object comes first, and then the verb, and then the subject. So may difference sa kanila beside the sentence structure. So yung active voice, you can notice it's a much shorter sentence at nagbibigay siya ng emphasis kaysa sa passive. Sa active voice, the verbs become working verbs. In a passive voice, the action naman, the verb, is sometimes it's mothered. But it doesn't mean that we should always use the active voice. There are certain types of writing naman na yung passive voice is very helpful. Example, if you want to emphasize an object, next is we avoid dangling modifiers. Modifiers are words or phrases used to describe a noun or a pronoun. Dangling modifiers are words or phrases that do not clearly refer to a noun or a pronoun that they meant to describe. So this can make the sentence misleading to the reader. I'll show you an example. After passing the driver's test, my father bought me a car. Dito, medyo magulo kasi sino ba yung nag-pass ng test, di ba? Siyempre, si reader, medyo obvious naman na hindi si Papa. So gagawin natin my father bought me a new car after I passed the driver's test. So medyo mas clear siya. So in general rule is that we place the modifier nearest to the word it modifies. Okay, next, part 10, we keep our paragraph short. Keep your paragraph short so you don't overburden your readers with so much text. Sinabi before na we keep our sentences short and at the same time, we make the paragraph short. Then, kasi, pag masyadong maraming text, sometimes nakakahilo din kaya we provide ample amount of white spaces. So as much as possible, we break yung mga paragraphs natin. Para naman may space sa paper or wherever that is. So we give, and if we do that, we also give our readers our chance to rest. Ganun, di ba? So on the average, we keep our paragraphs 3 to 4 sentences short. Make sure that each paragraph conveys only one main idea or one thought. Alright, the next one, we arrange your material logically. So we arrange our information in a way that readers can easily follow the flow of thought. If you look into it, poor writing is usually the result of unorganized ideas. So we try to make it clear para naman sa mga readers natin na, uy, masabi nila, pinag-isipan pala tong article na to, ganun. Para naman di nila masabi na, ano ba naman tong article na to, sobrang kalat, di ko magets, parang ganun, alright? So some of the things that we could do is that we break up the material into reasonable or digestible chunks. Whenever appropriate, we express our points using numbered or bulleted lists. Numbered list if sequence is important, bullet list if sequence is not important. All right. Next, we strive a smooth flow of ideas. Smooth flow meaning one thing connects to the other smoothly. The idea is that a manuscript should flow smoothly from one to another. So we sometimes notice this when we change direction, when we continue, when we re-examine new ground that's already covered, or when we end a thought. Diba? Sometimes kasi when we write things na we think there's a connection from one thought to another, that's only on our mind. Ang problem kasi, di yan na-get ng mga readers natin. So as much as possible, we do something, we add some things that would make our readers get the connection of ideas, all right? So that they can understand better. All right? So example, if we want to change direction, we say however, yet, still, nonetheless. Para naman magets nila. Or moreover, furthermore, besides, in brief, in other words, in short, therefore, hence, finally, thus, magets nila, patapos na, ganon, may thus na, may therefore na. We review our grammar. So it's important na we check on the subject-verb agreement. This one is very important. The grammar part is very important kasi it won't just be your grammar won't just be a basis of your writing ability, but it would most likely be a basis of everything na English related sa buhay mo. Pag nagsusulat ka, pag nagbabasa ka, pag nagsasalita ka, importante talaga yung grammar. So may nagsabi na there are simply no exceptions to the rule that correct grammatical usage is essential to good journalism. So yung SVA, that's how you describe things if they are singular, if they are plural, ganun. Marami yan eh. Sa tenses naman, it's a major rule na parang we have to be consistent and follow the normal time sequence of events. In the articles naman, yung a, n, and the, when we denote a specific object, we use the. Hindi tayo gumagamit ng a or an. Ginagamit lang yung a or an kung indefinite yung object. At sa adverbs, para hindi tayo malito, basic lang. When we describe a noun, it's an adjective. When we describe a verb, it's an adverb, di ba? Lastly, we revise and we sharpen. Revise and sharpen our work. So go back tayo, we review our work. And then we check all of these principles ulit. Kung tama ba? Advantage kasi natin, when we revise and sharpen, we get better along the way. Since the article is not yet submitted, hindi pa siya na-print, edi may time pa tayo to make it better and better and better. We have nothing to lose, kumbaga. Si Hemingway nga sabi niya, di daw siya satisfied hanggang ma-rewrite niya yung paragraph niya 300 times. 300. You can still check if smooth ba yung flow ng ideas, direct to the point ba ko, tama ba yung grammar ko, tama ba yung focus and everything. So hanggang super matalas na talaga yung article mo, yun na yung tama, di ba? Alright? So those are the remaining parts, the main principles, point plus 8 to 14 of clear and effective writing. So the next one will be explained by Angela on readability and readability formulas.
Thank you to my groupmates and fellow reporters. I am Angela Kristi Dumdum, and as John mentioned earlier, I will be discussing readability and readability formulas. So, to recap, what is readability? Readability is the ease at which you can read a written material, which means if you can read a text in one go, then it is readable. Now, there are two aspects that affect readability. These are the words that you choose to use and the length of your sentences. As mentioned earlier, we will be focusing on the Gunning's Fog Index, which is a readability formula created to measure a written material's readability. So to get the Gunning's Fog Index of any text or written material, step 1 is to get the average sentence length of the text. Now, to do that, you'd have to choose a passage or paragraph from the work whose readability you are aiming to measure. Now you count up to 100 words, then stop the sentence count nearest the 100th word. Now remember, you're doing this to determine the average sentence length. Now after you do that, you divide the total number of words in the passage with the number of sentences. So in this example, you start counting from the first word, which is authorities, count to 100 words, and then you end in 2. That is the 100th word that's highlighted in blue. And then you stop the sentence count at the sentence nearest the 100th word. So that would be the sentence ending in the word used right here. So now you count the number of words from authorities to the word used. You have 78 words. Now count the number of sentences in that snippet. You have 3 sentences. All right. So to get the average sentence length, you divide the number of words, that is 78, divided by the number of sentences, that's 3. That would equal 26. Now, to understand this number, you'd have to refer to the reading skill range table right here. All right. So this number means that the passage that we chose is about fairly difficult to understand. Now, note that the average sentence length for most newspapers is 17 to 20 words. And also remember that the Gunning's Fog Index does not only measure sentence length, but the words used in the piece as well, which brings us to step 2. Now, step 2 would be to find the number of difficult words used in the passage. To do that, in the same passage, again, limit your counting to the sentences you earmarked in the first step. Then count the number of words with 3 syllables or more, not counting names or proper nouns, not counting combinations of 2 short, easy words like bookkeeper, butterfly, or countersign, and not counting verb forms made up of 3 syllables by adding ing or ed or es, like created or trespasses. So you shouldn't count those words, right? So to count the number of difficult words using the example that we used. So again, we're going to use the snippet, the snippet that we got earlier, we count 6 difficult words. So those are words that have 3 syllables or more. Now that you have that, you have both the average sentence length, which was 26, and the number of difficult words, which is 6. To get the fog index, then you would have to add those two and multiply it by 0.4. So with our example, we get 12.8. So that is the Gunning's fog index. Now, to understand that, we would have to then refer to the fog index table right here. So it says here 12.8. According to the fog index table, the material is fairly easy to read, and you probably have to have had some high school education to understand it. Almost above the danger line, but still below it, right? So that is how you compute for the Gunning's fog index. Now, important things to remember is readability is affected not only by the length of the material, but also by the difficulty of the words used. Hence, the writer should strive to keep his or her material clear and concise without leaving out necessary details and sacrificing coherence and the smooth flow of ideas. So, the fog index is just a guide for you to achieve readability and not to stunt your writing by any means. As Robert Gunning advised, good writing must be alive, so don't kill it with the system. With that, I hope our report helps provide you with the tools you need to write both concisely and effectively. Thank you for listening.